Hey. Give it a second to let people come in, and we'll talk about the chapter, which is nuts. Really nuts. It's literally the chapter dropped right when I dropped the last video. They've been coming out really sporadically lately. Usually they come out in the weekends for me. Like the translation comes out like a Saturday night or a Sunday night, but they've been coming out way earlier lately. So it's like messed up my entire schedule for making videos. So sometimes it's just easier to live stream it. Wait a little bit for some more people to get in here and we'll talk about it. But the chapter was not what I was expecting, and it made me think about stuff that I had already been researching. One of the things I like to do besides manga and anime is I like to, I told you I like vintage horror movies. I like philosophy, and I like studying other religions in the world. And one of them I was studying is Hinduism. And in Hinduism, there's a thing called yugas or ages, which I'll get into a little bit later. But they to me, it's just bizarre that I was looking into that, and then this chapter popped up, and it just made me instantly think of that. So I'll give you my layman's view of what that is. But all right, let's get into this. I'm gonna drink my coffee real quick. Okay, so chapter starts out where we last left off. Joker came and told everybody the secret sauce to the Cataclysm and what adolla needs, and that is human belief in hope or despair. And currently, despair is winning because the evangelists and the White Clad have done a fine job of controlling people's minds throughout the 250 years, that people have come to the Tokyo Empire. They crafted a religion, they've crafted a narrative, they've crafted all these things to get people to think and feel the way that they want them to. So, now that Joker has come and you're getting a little bit of pushback. In the beginning of the chapter, you see Licht. He's a very rational being, so he's trying to make sense of this unirrational world that is now in front of him. And we get some clips of the Fourth, for example, who are starting to lose hope themselves. I mean, if you look at these panels, like the world is a very, very scary place right now. And even Honda comes back after he got lost after fighting the Black Star Titan when he did his bullet maneuver and flew off and then got, I don't know, he must have landed in the water because that's where he was coming out from. He looks up and sees a giant Cthulhu eye in the sky, and even he's starting to think it's over. What's interesting is no doppelgangers have showed up to fight them. These people who are thinking this. Maybe they're not totally giving into despair. Maybe they're only halfly giving it. Maybe their rational mind is saying, hey, there's fire coming out of the ground. Maybe we're screwed. But maybe they think maybe there's still a hope. So there is an interesting panel, though. There's the captain, the guy who's taking over the Fourth, the whistle guy, I believe. I can't think of his name. He seems like he's giving in, and there's this one panel where this person's tipping over, and you think it might. I thought it was a doppelganger, but it wasn't. It's someone basically explained to the Captain Pan that Obi's calling. And Obi explains to all the remaining fire forces what the trick is. The trick is we need to reestablish hope in the eyes of the citizens, and including in their own ranks to win. And Obi's the guy to do it. Here's where things get really weird. So in the next panel, Sumire, who is the pillar we know the least about, it might be Sumire. Like it's clearly after this chapter, she's a Japanese woman. So I'll tell you in a second. So she's irritated by this. How dare these people given to hope of all things? She's really mad. She's like, I can't believe there's still people who won't just give in, and she doesn't get it. And this happens. Oh, hello, welcome to the stream. So we get a flashback once again to the world prior. This has happened before in the series where Shinra went back in time with Inca and saw the world prior to the Cataclysm. The Cataclysm happened. It looked just like our world. It was a montage of what we would think is today, and it was modern day Japan, right? Well, we get a confirmation with that here. So Sumire, I'm going to call her Sumire. I don't know. whatever you want to call her. She is 250 years old. I don't know how she's still alive. I assumed in earlier videos that she was an infernal. Well, I'm wrong. She is from the old world. Her name was Sumire Sugita, and she was a agent of the evangelist. And she says it was 20XX, which, use your imagination, that usually means 2021 in my mind. And I'll tell you why in a second. So she is explaining how the last cataclysm happened and that she was a part of it. What she also explains, too, is that this isn't the first time it's happened. We assume that the cataclysm was the only one. Well, apparently, the cataclysm happened to bring intelligent life into the world. And this is what got me thinking about the Yugas and Kali Yuga, because each Yuga and Kali Yuga represent an age, and each one has a distinct purpose. And right now, if you believe in that, we are in Kali Yuga, which is at the very end of the Yugas, which is the darkest timeline, dark time Yuga. Like, it's supposed to be humanity's on a decline, and at the end of the Yuga, then it goes back to the first Yuga, and humanity goes into a golden age. So some believe like the Kali Yuga ends in 2025, what's just from my own research. So she's going over that there have been many cataclysms, and it's also kind of reminded me of astrology ages too, the way she was describing it. Like each cataclysm represented a new age. I don't know. So she says, humans, the peak of intelligent life, were born from their collective unconscious, consented upon a single desire, the same of which all stars and all life reaches in its conclusion. Because all stars start out small, get large, 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 and then explode into a supernova. Or at least that's what we theorize. And she's saying that all people at that point wish for death, which just gave me anti-spiral vibes from back in Gurren Lagann. It was the spirals versus the anti-spirals, and the spirals were so afraid, or the anti-spirals were so afraid that the spiral race would just keep growing and growing and eventually kill itself, that they had to control people and basically downplay their potential, right? So she explains that the peak of human evolution is despair, aka death. And then she goes on to explain that there's no such thing as there's no such thing with a person with an independent will. All is swept up in their religion or their government or social media, she says. She actually calls out social media. And so she's telling, the way she's explained this to me, she's telling me these are things, because the Maiden in Black explained that these were things that were used by the evangelists before to control the will of the people. So they've used governments, they used religions, and clearly they used social media. Basically saying they're all being swept along mindlessly by any fads they see, whatever's popular. And what was really weird when I was reading this chapter, this reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 2 of all things. So you're going through the tanker, and you get to that point where Colonel calls you up, and he goes, Raiden, you've been playing this game for a long time. You should quit. Like, she's a fourth wall breaker at this point. This is why I called this episode Breaking the Fourth Wall. Because who is she talking to here? Seriously. Is she talking to the people of the Empire? Is she talking to Obi? No, she's talking to the viewer. She's broke the fourth wall. She's saying, you viewer, here is why you hoping that this series ends on an up note is stupid. She's trying to control the viewer's mind of what is going to happen. And I wouldn't put it past, because I heard this was blowing up on Japanese social media as soon as this chapter dropped. I wouldn't put it past Okubo to be taking notes or making a database of sorts, because you can do that with Twitter API pretty easily with public posts, on what people are saying about this. How many people were like, oh, it's over, Fire Force is over, or are they going to win, da-da-da-da. So that was my point here. Sumire is talking directly to you. And I'll tell you the next thing where you kind of get this idea. She's also using imagery from our world. So look, if you look at this, and I believe I couldn't get a good enough view of what was saying on the chair, but I believe that is a social distancing message next to that chair that she's on. So she is, and I don't know if this is inadvertent or not. You know, maybe when they were recording this, they had to do this because of regulations or whatever. But he's a very precise writer, so I bet you he put this on here on purpose to get the viewer to relate to the old world prior to the second cataclysm, if you go by what she's telling you, right? So she's like, you people, you worship tons of meaningless opinions on social networks, getting swept up in trends and rumors without ever stopping to think for yourselves. She has a very low view of humanity because she's next to the supreme being that is able to control the narrative of whatever the evangelist wants. Clearly, very savvy individual. Religions, government, social media, newspapers, media, all of it, probably all done for the evangelist plan. And then, Okubo here is also doing a very scathing rebuke of social media with Sumire here. She's like, if you look at your phone screen, you can see them all. Look at all those bugs. There's one over here, one over there. She calls the people who are like flying around popular events like moths to the flame as bugs, which is funny because a bug is what, prior to the cataclysm, a bug is what something that accelerated human combustion or pyrokinesis. And maybe Okubo is saying here that bugs aren't just people, they're bad ideas. I don't know. That's kind of what I was looking at. She's like, and she's basically saying that all these brainless bugs, their preparations will be ready, and finding brainless fuel for the fire is the easy part. So they're saying this is how I look at this. The message that they're saying to the world is giving people fear and despair, which is brainless fuel for adolla to then have enough fuel on the other side to have a cataclysm. Yeah, I always thought maybe it was just like a consent switch. Like adolla reflected exactly how people thought. And I do kind of still believe that. So if despair is one fuel in the adolla, then hope is the other. Hope and optimism is the other fuel. And depending on what fuel is existing there, determines what happens. Because we've seen already, and I know I say this a million times, we've seen that the tabernacle in the Chinese peninsula was able to revitalize the area around it. So adolla can heal, reset the world per se in a good way, or it can destroy. That's how I look at it. And that's why Sumire is so flippin' annoyed that Obi and crew are rallying a resistance. This to me is not a villain or a villainous character that is confident. Like this here, like they're using every creepy aspect you can think of to try to get you, the viewer, creeped out and on their side, and to thinking it's inevitable what's going to happen. The world's going to end. You're reading a story with a bad ending. Da 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 da. And I don't think it's going to work because I think everyone's going to rally on social media, for example, if he is keeping score, that people are going to win. So with the cataclysm, the planet will become a world of flames and spontaneous human combustion. Wouldn't you agree? So when she says this on this one panel, I think she's speaking from the present state of that before the major cataclysm that created the Tokyo Empire happened. And then then the chapter basically ends. So yeah, a couple things. I definitely think this message is tailored for the viewer. I think it's deliberate. I think Sumire is talking to you. She wants to influence your opinion on what's going to happen in the story. You, as the viewer, need to hope that the 8th and the Fire Force and Shinra and everybody wins, and then the story will have a better ending. But she wants you to not believe that. She wants you to believe, because all we do is see the Evangelists and the White Cloud win over win over win. The key, you turning into Giovanni, Charon even dying is a despair point because he was a beloved character, even though he's a villain. He was just kind of like an anti-hero type, believe it or not. Arthur's fight with Dragon was nothing, and it looked stupid until Arthur gets his head out of his ass. Ogun got clobbered bad. People are turning into infernals left and right. Doppelgangers are showing up and blowing people up. You only get this little small bit of hope because Joker showed up and said, hey, this is what's the deal, and we need to make Obi into our new symbol. So yeah, this is how I took this chapter. This chapter is a fourth wall breaking event to influence the mind of the viewer. I don't think anybody in the Empire is getting this little view of the previous world. I would be surprised if next chapter you see people holding their heads like, oh my god, what's going on in my head? Why am I seeing these weird 3D people? Because like in the new Cataclysm world, I think it'd still be a third dimensional world, but it'd be like a cell shaded one, right? Like in a video game. That's how I look at it. And then they better, it's been a while, but I don't think Sumire has been seen in the anime yet. They better hire this woman that they have in these real life photos to voice her if this person's an actress too, and then they can refilm this whole section. I'd do it right now, actually. Okubo should have just said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I know you guys are probably working on JoJo Part 7, but film this part now and then store it somewhere for when you actually do get to this point in the anime. That's what I would do if I were them, because this is going to be trippy as heck. I often wonder how they were going to do the return to the past part where Shinra goes back in time. It's not unheard of for anime to do this, where you have an anime and then you have this flash to the real world. So it's not going to be too difficult. But if I were them, to save time, money, and not worry about, because who knows how long it is till we get the final season of Fire Force? Because I'm pretty sure we'll probably see. Did I say Part 7? I meant JoJo Part 6. Part 7 would be great too. Steel Ball 1. I want to see that, but I think they're going to do JoJo Part 6 before they go do the third and final season of Fire Force. So, yep, that's what I got. Those are my thoughts. Really, really strongly reminded me of Kali Yuga. Things I've been going on to different ages in astrology. Fourth wall breaking things. This is definitely one of those Colonel Campbell moments from freaking Metal Gear Solid 2 back in the day. I don't know about you, but I think I was like playing that game at like 4 in the morning. And that stupid thing popped up and started talking to me, telling me I was playing the game too long, and it freaking scared the living crap out of me. I know people on the subreddit were reading this particular chapter late at night. Were like, yep, I had to go lock my doors. So, yeah. Well, all right, that's all I got on this. A lot of stuff to think about. But yeah, tell me what you guys thought about this chapter. I did live stream this, so go ahead and leave a comment and like and subscribe for all those things. And I do respond to almost all your comments. I do love chatting about anime with you guys, so don't be afraid to leave a comment and chat about it. So yeah, well, everybody go read this chapter. It's super creepy. You haven't read it yet, and get to it. So that's all I got for you guys. So I hope you all have a good one and have a really good weekend, by the way. Peace.